Hi, I'm Arrow Johnson. Welcome to the 90-Minute Bartending School. Over the next hour and a half, I'm going to share with you everything you need to know to become a professional bartender. We're going to set up the bar, you're going to learn the bar tools, the techniques, and of course, your classic drink recipes. Now, we're not only going to learn the recipes, we're going to learn the techniques behind those recipes so you can use this knowledge when you're making any drink. Now, along the way, we'll also be introduced to some very special people. These are bartenders who've been in this business long enough to have acquired the customer service skills, the drink knowledge, and the style to make them some of the best bartenders in this area. Now, don't plan on watching this video one time and going out and getting a job bartending. This is a complete bartending school. This is 2 weeks worth of information crammed into one 90-minute video. So when we get started, we're going to move fast, we're going to pack in a lot of information. Plan on watching the video a number of times. Watch it once through, just get a sense of it, then go back and take some notes. You're also going to want to get some empty bottles and some pour spouts and start practicing the techniques and the recipes that you're going to learn here. But if you do this, if you follow through, you learn these recipes, you get comfortable with that bottle in your hand, this will pan out for you. You will have the skills to get behind the bar comfortably, start making drinks, and start making money. All right, enough talk. Let's get behind the bar and we'll get set up for the night. All right, we've just walked into the bar. It's the start of the shift. The first thing we need to do is to get set up for a busy night. This means filling your ice well, making sure your customer area is completely clean. You stock your liquors and your beers, cut your garnishes, making sure you have your tools ready, your glassware is clean, ready to go. These are all the things you don't want to do when the night gets busy. Now we'll look at a few of these, and I want to start with our basic bar ingredients, which are the liquors. Before we serve any drink, we need to understand the alcohol that's going into that drink. Now, liquors come in two basic categories, spirits and liqueurs. Our first group, the spirits, are the basic liquors that you use every day: rum, vodka, gin, tequila, whiskey, and brandy. Now, in general, spirits are lower in sugar than liqueurs and are at least 35% alcohol. Now, it's common to use the generic term liquor when referring to spirits, so in this video we'll be using the terms liquor and spirits interchangeably. Again, that's rum, vodka, gin, tequila, whiskey, and brandy in that order. Now, why is this order important? Because this is the order we're going to set up our well. This is the metal rack right here below our ice. It's also called a speed rail. That way we can always find the bottle. Someone orders a vodka cranberry. You're able to reach down, find the bottle without looking because you know right where it's at. You fumble around, you're looking for a bottle, you look like an amateur. You reach down, you pour a drink quickly and efficiently, you look like a professional. Now, this order is common, but it's not absolute. The idea is to get the bottles that you use most frequently in front of you within easy reach. All bars will have their own setup, and it's up to you to adjust to the bar you're working in. Our second category are the liqueurs. Liqueurs are made by taking a base spirit and adding sweeteners, flavors, and colors. These liqueurs tend to be sweet and rich. If you add too much to a drink, you can quickly throw off the balance. A good rule of thumb is 2 parts base spirit, 1 part liqueur. This works well if you come across a recipe, you have the ingredients, but you don't know the amounts. As you gain experience and you begin to experiment with your spirits and your liqueurs, you'll find patterns and combinations that work well together.
It's a lot like being a chef, trying to knowing what all the flavors are and how you can mix them together. I have a couple of key liqueurs that I love to use in place of other things, kind of a secret ingredient, if you will. I'll tell you, it's Tawaka. Tawaka is a wonderful vanilla flavored with a hint of citrus liqueur, and it goes really well in a lemon drop, for instance. Just gives a kind of a creamy, thick flavor to it. Also great with coffee drinks. But it's great on its own too,
Now, all liqueurs have their own characteristics, from subtle to right in your face. A Sambuca, for example, makes a perfect dessert drink. Add 3 coffee beans, 1 for money, 1 for love, 1 for happiness. Now, when you're pouring sweet liqueurs like blue curacao, be careful. A little bit flavors the drink, you pour too much, and you'll quickly ruin the drink. Baileys or any Irish cream, when combined with lime juice, curdles into an unpalatable mess. This is called a cement mixer. It's a prank that's sometimes played on the novice bar goer on their 21 run. My advice for you is don't serve these. Not unless you want someone getting sick on your bar. You'll find your liquors organized differently everywhere you go, but the principle remains the same. The most popular liquors need to be close at hand. Now we'll start with our speed rail. This is the well that's right below your ice. It contains the liquors that you use constantly. The liquors that are found here are called well liquors because they're found in your well. A well liquor is the house standard. This is the one that you pour when the guest doesn't specify a brand. So if a guest orders a whiskey Coke, you'll pour your well whiskey. Now if a guest orders a Jack and Coke or a Crown and Coke, then they've called out the brand name of the liquor they want. This is called a call liquor, or a premium liquor. These are typically placed nearby on the back wall behind you. Now your most expensive liquor, the ones poured less frequently, are found on the top shelf, a little further from reach. For this reason, these are called top shelf liquors. Your bar should also be organized to keep similar liquors together. Vodkas are with vodkas, tequilas are with tequilas, and liqueurs are with liqueurs.
Make sure that you return your liquor bottle to the exact same spot that you found it when you picked it up.
So if your vodka is always in the same spot, you can actually grab for it without looking at it, because you know your vodka is the second one from the left. So if you always do that, you'll be organized and know where everything is without looking.
It will only take probably an hour of bartending for you to know that, because after that hour you'll realize that if I don't keep doing the exact same thing over and over again, I'm gonna go crazy.
A typical fruit tray consists of lemons, limes, oranges, and cherries. We'll begin with the lemon slice or half wheel. Find the end that hung from the tree and cut this off. Then, down the center, end to end, and make a slice down the inside center. And cut into slices or half wheels, maybe a 1/4 inch thick. You want to get the most mileage out of each lemon, but you don't want it to be flimsy on the side of the glass. Now the orange slice is cut similar to the lemon, only we'll skip a step. Because the inner membrane is already divided into sections, we won't need to make a slice down the inside center. Instead, we'll just cut our slices and then give it a twist. It should just break open. And again, that hangs nicely on the side of a glass. Cutting the lime wedge or the lime squeeze. Now remember, a squeeze is always a lime, where a twist is always a lemon. Again, find the end that hung from the tree and cut this off. Nobody needs a stem in their drink. Then we'll cut down the center and down the center again, and then we'll cut into squeezes. These should fit nicely into a bottle of beer or as a squeeze for your tonic water. A tonic water always gets a lime, whether it's a lime squeeze or a lime wheel. To make a lime wheel, we'll cut off both ends of the lime and then make a slice through the skin into the pulp of the lime, and we'll cut into wheels. Now you may get 4 or 5 of these out of one lime. Again, you don't want it to be too flimsy on the side of the glass. That makes a real nice garnish on a margarita or even on a tropical drink. To make a lemon twist, cut off both ends of the lemon. And then, you make a series of slices through the skin just barely into the pulp of that lemon. And you want to follow these slices all the way around. Then give that lemon a roll. This separates the skin from the pulp, and your twist should just peel right off of there. Now you don't want to just throw this into the drink. Instead, rim the glass by running the lemon along the rim of the glass you're going to serve the cocktail in. Then give it a nice twist, release the juices, and into the drink. Now guests will often ask for a lemon twist on a Manhattan, maybe on a Scotch on the rocks, in a Martini in place of an olive. But in these drinks, where you really want to appreciate the subtleties of the alcohol, only serve a twist on request. And maraschino cherries will finish up our fruit tray. Your flag is a combination of an orange and a cherry. To make a flag, spear an orange, go through a cherry, and then wrap that orange back around onto the spear. It's a real nice garnish on a vodka Collins or a Tom Collins. A second way to make a flag is to spear a cherry, and here you want to go all the way up onto the handle of the spear. Go through an orange and then onto the glass. Now a typical garnish setup should also include olives for martinis, celery for Bloody Marys, bitters for Manhattans, you'll want sugar and salt for rimming glasses, and whipped cream for your coffee drinks.
I mean, aesthetics is a very important part of bartending. You got to make sure the drink looks good as well as tastes good. It can't taste good and look like green sludge. Nobody's going to drink it. Certain ways of peeling a rind or cutting a fruit in a specific shape. Having cherries wrapped up with mango, papaya, and pineapple, and then having a rind around it so it looks like a piece of art.
All right, when it comes to our bar tools, less is more. We don't need our bar top cluttered with all of the latest gadgets. Most drinks can be made with just a few essential tools. We'll look at these in detail when we actually start mixing drinks. Right now, I want to take an overview of the tools I use behind my bar, and we'll begin with the mixing tin. Your mixing tin and strainer, two of the most important tools you'll keep behind your bar. Now you'll use these all the time, so be sure to keep a clean strainer and a clean tin close by, ready to go. Now your mixing tin is used for combining ingredients, whether you're shaking them to chill them or muddling a drink. Then the strainer is used to strain out the ice when you pour the cocktail into the serving glass. You have your muddler. Now a muddler is used for mashing ingredients in a drink to release their flavors. This goes beyond just shaking a drink. With muddling, you're really releasing the essential oils of the herbs and the fruits that you use in the cocktail. Of course, we have a corkscrew and bottle opener for opening beer and wine. You'll also want plenty of pour spouts for your bottles. Now pour spouts come in two varieties. You have plastic or metal. I much prefer metal. I think they pour smoother. I think they stay cleaner, but they are more expensive. Pour spouts are designed to pour at an even rate, but they must be attached correctly. Make sure the label of the bottle is facing you. Then your pour spout should be facing towards the left. All across the shelves, this is how every bottle should be set up. Your pour spout should always be pointed in this direction. As a beginner, you'll also want to use a jigger. A jigger is a measuring tool with an exact measure on each end.
Now we're talking about mechanics. We're going to talk about one of a bartender's best friends. That's the bar towel. I always leave my towel wrung out, rinsed, folded up, and ready to go on my bar top. So that if I have to clean up a mess or do anything, I can pick that towel up and go to work. I don't have to pick that towel up, wring it out, and get it ready. If it's ready to go, all I have to do is wipe it up, and clean it out, and I'm good to go.
With time, you're going to acquire some favorites. With me, it's a nice bottle opener. If I'm moving fast and I have one of the light, cheap ones, sometimes I'll chip the top of a bottle. This one's nice and heavy, and it has these smooth edges, so I can slide it easily in and out of my back pocket.
The wristband is a very, very convenient way to carry your pens around. In that sense, you always have the pens. Pens don't break into your back pocket, which has happened to me many times. I have destroyed numerous pens. My bottle opener holster, that's a very convenient way to have your bottle opener always with you. Especially a busy night, you don't want to lose that. You take out lots of unnecessary movement. Everything is where you need them. Pens, bottle openers.
You wouldn't go to a knife fight, with a stick. It just doesn't make sense. Show up with your pen, show up with your wine opener, have some comfy shoes on, some comfy clothes, be ready to bust it out.
Glassware comes in a number of different styles, ranging from fancy hand-blown glasses to plastic cups. This will all depend where you work. Now we'll take a look at some of the industry standards, and we'll begin with the shot glass. This is for your classic shot of alcohol, shots of tequila, shots of Jaeger, for example. It can also double as a measuring tool. Your rocks glass is for that same single shot of alcohol over ice or on the rocks. Brandy snifter. This is for single shots of brandy or cognac, almost always served neat or without ice. Now your highball glass is a tall, thin glass that's designed for a single shot of liquor with a mixer. Often bars will substitute a different style of 8-ounce glass to use for highball drinks, and though not technically correct, this then becomes the highball glass for that bar. Your bucket, also known as a double or tall. This is for double shots of liquor and a mixer. Some bars will also use buckets to serve their Bloody Marys and their tropical drinks. Your hurricane glass. Now here's a nice touch for a tropical drink. You serve it in a long-stemmed fancy glass. It's been shown that the better a drink looks, the better its perceived taste, so the more you can do to create a special experience for your guests, the higher your sales and the higher your tips. Your pounder. Here's a nice alternative for serving tropical drinks in a busy bar where the long-stem, top-heavy glasses tend to get knocked over. This is also the glass for a pint of beer. Your cocktail glass. Here's your iconic Martini glass. Beautiful presentation for your martinis and Manhattans. Now your bar will also have a number of wine, champagne, and beer glasses.
2 glasses. Shot glass, small rocks glass. If I pour a shot of tequila, I'm going to pour that shot in this glass. I'm going to pour that shot in this glass because it's going to give me a true measure. Customer's going to know they got what they want. Now, I'm going to pour a shot of bourbon. I'm going to pour that bourbon neat. Neat means no ice. We're still going to pour just a shot in there, but we're going to put this bigger glass so that it has an opportunity to let the liquor breathe. Nice liquor, a good bourbon, a good scotch. A lot of the flavor comes from the nose of that alcohol. It's the smell that actually allows you to taste the flavors that are involved in that liquor, the complexities that actually make it worth spending that extra bit of money on something that costs a little bit more and has a little bit better characters to it. And pouring it in a neat glass is going to let that nose open up as you take sips of it. You're also going to be sipping out of this glass. In this glass, you're just doing a shot. You don't care what it tastes like. You're just trying to get it down.
These here are definitely bartender friendly. You don't, as you can tell, there's no long goofy stem, short and squatty, just the way we like them. Don't have to worry, they slide really well. Don't have to worry about the spillage or the tippage. Table of 10 can easily sit together and not have a problem keeping this drink from falling over.
Now, a good drink depends on accurate and consistent measurements of the ingredients going into that drink. There are 3 ways to measure alcohol. One is with a jigger. A jigger is a measuring tool with an exact measure on each side. In this case, we have 1 ounce on one side and a ½ ounce on the other. Now, a second way to measure is using a shot glass. Here, the customer sees that they're getting an exact shot of alcohol. A third way is to free pour. Now, I enjoy the style of free pouring. To me, free pouring creates a fun, exciting atmosphere, and it leaves me a hand free if I want to pour 2 liquors at the same time, or if I need a hand to pour a mixer or add a garnish. On the flip side, pouring using a shot glass or a jigger allows a customer to see that they're getting an exact measure of alcohol, and it helps beginning bartenders keep their measurements accurate and their pour costs in line. It'll depend on the bar you work at, and both ways work equally well. Now, a bottle of liquor contains between 17 and 22 shots of alcohol. This means that as a bartender, you have to charge for 17 to 22 shots every time you sell out of a bottle. This way, the bar makes money, and it keeps you in a job. Be sure your measurements are accurate every time you pour a drink. So how much is a shot? Well, a shot is a standard house pour. It ranges anywhere from 1 ounce to 1 1/4 ounces, sometimes 2 ounces. In this video, we'll pour a standard 1 1/4 ounce shot. This is a fairly standard shot in the industry. Now, if you're putting too much alcohol in a drink, your bar is losing money and guests are getting intoxicated faster than they wanted to, which is not a good thing. However, if you start to short pour your guests, well, they're going to be out the door, across the street to a different bar where they're getting a good drink, and that's even worse. The secret, which is really not a secret at all, is to pour an accurate shot every time.
Keep your liquor costs in line. There's a delicate balance of being a bartender here is making sure the house keeps their money coming in, make sure you're giving a good product, and people are perceiving their drinks as a good value, because we all work hard for our money. So it's, you don't want to go to a place where you feel you're getting ripped off. So it's knowing what the balance is. Make sure that, just like anything in life, make sure what you perceive as a good value, because that's the most important thing.
Free pouring is a simple counting method. With the label of the bottle facing you, you want to make sure the pour spout is facing toward the glass you're going to pour into. Then you turn the bottle completely upside down and count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Now that should be 1 ounce of alcohol. Ah, right on the money. But this does take practice. Find yourself some empty bottles, some pour spouts, and start pouring over and over, counting to 3. But remember, you're counting silently, right? Not even your lips are moving. With time, you'll stop counting. You'll just start to feel the rhythm of it. You'll be holding conversations at the bar while you're making drinks. Once you've mastered the 1 ounce pour, it's easy to make adjustments. For a ½ ounce, just hold the bottle upside down half as long. 1 1/4 ounce is a quick 4 count. For a 1/4 ounce, you won't need to count this. It's just a quick swirl over the drink. Again, this does take practice. Work with your jigger until you can get it right every time.
I think prepping is really big too. You want to make sure that you have enough stuff. If you're for a Friday night, it's going to require more stuff than a Tuesday night. But you want to make sure that if you get slammed, that it's not 10 o'clock at night or midnight and all of a sudden you're out of oranges and you got to run downstairs and get more and bring them back up and cut them or whatnot.
Pay attention to the details. The small things count. If I come into a bar after somebody's opened it and there's not something done, it's irritating, and it kind of gets you off to a bad start for the rest of the night.
When I first started out, one of the most important things that helped me out was making a list of my opening procedures, making sure that I knew everything I had to do. And if you remember something new, write it down on that list. So every day you'll have something, a consistent list, so you know what to do every day.
For somebody who's coming on fresh, listen to the bartenders around you, because they know what you've been doing. They know what you're doing better than you know what you're doing. So.
Now, as a beginning bartender, you're going to spend a lot of time learning your new drinks. And while you're struggling to keep up, you've got every bar owner, every liquor manufacturer, every bartender out there inventing new drinks and coming up with new names to drinks that you already know. And no matter how hard you try, there's just no way you're going to keep up with every kid who jumps on the internet and finds some drink that was popular on Daytona Beach in 1967. You got to face it, you're going to get stumped.
Everybody's got new drinks coming out all the time from that restaurant or the other restaurant, and they want you to make it. And a lot of times they don't even really know what's in it.
Coming over and saying, make me a nutty squirrel, chasing a monkey around a tree. There's no way in hell I'm going to know what somebody else in town might have said to this person when they poured that drink and what the heck they might have poured into it.
There are a lot of drinks that that have 5 different recipes, and there are a lot of people who aren't used to the recipe that you're making, and bartenders aren't hooked up to some kind of super mind meld where if somebody makes a drink, every bartender knows about it instantly. You're always learning as a bartender. You're learning new drinks. You're learning that people call a drink you already make something else. It's very regional. It's region specific.
Try to find out if the customer can tell me anything about the drink, what goes in it, or maybe even what color it is, can give you a clue, because a lot of drinks are drinks that you already know how to make. They're just called something else. Drinks have regional names, or sometimes just through time passing, the name of a drink will somehow evolve or change. And so most of the time you actually do know what they're talking about. You just don't know it by that name.
Just give them the honest business. Like, you don't have all night to dance around the mulberry bush and make people believe you know everything. But what you do know is crucial, so use that to the best of your ability and try to make yourself a couple bucks.
The good news is that a relatively small handful of drinks make up 90% of the drinks you'll serve any night. And a good recipe book, a good foundation in the classics, which is what we're developing here, and some real people skills will get you through the rest. All right, let's start simple. We'll begin with straight liquor on ice or on the rocks. Now, I think most of us can figure out how to pour a shot of liquor over a glass of ice, but I want to take the simplicity of this drink and remind ourselves of some of the fundamentals we'll use throughout this video. We'll begin with our rocks glass and we'll fill that with ice. All right, well, obviously we don't want to do this up here on the bar where ice spills out at our guests. We'll end up spending our night cleaning ice and water off our bar. Instead, we'll take this glass over our ice and we'll fill it up here. And remember to pack this glass with ice because the alcohol will melt most of it. And then you add your standard shot of liquor, which in our case is 1.25 ounces or a quick 4 count. Now, what about a straight liquor drink that combines more than one alcohol? Say a Black Russian. Now, a Black Russian is equal parts vodka and coffee liqueur. Does this mean we're going to pour 1 shot of each into the glass? Well, no, because then we'd have a double shot drink. It wouldn't even fit into our rocks glass. We'd have alcohol spilling out on our bar. Instead, we'll pour a half shot of each, 1 part vodka and 1 part coffee liqueur or Kahlua. And our guest still receives 1 shot of alcohol over a full glass of ice. A rusty nail is scotch with a float of Drambuie. And again, our guest receives 1 ounce of scotch, a 1/4 ounce of Drambuie, a single shot over a glass of ice. Your straight liquor drinks can also be served neat, which means no ice, or heated in a brandy snifter over a glass of hot water.
So today we're going to be making a beautiful. A beautiful can be served either heated or neat, and usually in the winter you get asked for it to be heated. Kind of heats up your insides, keeps you warm. I like to take hot water, fill the snifter above the point where the alcohol is going to reach in the glass. I like to let the glass steep so that the glass gets really nice and hot. Usually I take this time to pour maybe another cocktail that I've been asked for. It takes about a minute to let it just steep into the glass so you can utilize your time, which as a bartender you know it's very important. And you want to make sure that when you fill your hot water glass that it actually touches the bottom of your snifter when you sit the snifter inside. This will help keep the alcohol warm through the duration of your patron's stay. Any excess you just get rid of. You take a Cavassier, a cognac, whichever cognac you prefer. You want to make sure there's about half of each cognac and Grand Marnier. You'd like to try and make sure that the contents of your beautiful rest just inside the rim of your snifter so that there's not any spillage when it gets to the table. And cheers to a warm belly.
Now, legend has it that in the past, if a train was in a hurry, they'd hang a ball high on a pole at the station. And this would tell people that the train was going to be in and out of the depot quick, and if they wanted to order a drink, they'd have to order something that could be made quick. So they'd order a highball. Now, this still holds true. Highballs are quick to make. Very simply, you fill a glass with ice, add a shot of liquor, top with mixer.
The starting point of your drink is your glass. Glass should be clean, sparkling, clean, and shiny. Without that, you got nothing. It's like the foundation of your house. Second half of that is having nice cold ice. Third thing we're going to do is we're going to pack that glass full of ice. By filling that glass full of ice, we're going to keep that drink cold. The colder that drink is, the longer it's going to hold. The longer it's going to be before that drink starts to taste watered down. The second part of that is this glass is designed to hold a certain amount of liquid. When it's full of ice, it holds a certain amount of liquid, and that amount of liquid is all we want in there. If we take ice out of here, it then holds more liquid. Now, as a bartender, you're never going to put more alcohol in a glass because there's more room. You're always going to put more mixer in it. And that mixer is going to dilute that drink and make that drink not taste good. So, as a little trick, by filling your glass with ice, you can pour a legitimate straight drink, fill it, leaving your little window at the top. So when you're done making that drink, there should always be a 1/4-inch window at the top of that glass. You should never fill that glass to the top. Again, the idea being to limit the amount of mixer you've added to that alcohol, making that drink taste better.
Traditionally, a highball is whiskey and soda water. It's served in a tall glass known as a highball glass. But it's common bar practice to call any drink that combines one liquor and a soda mixer a highball. So your rum and cokes, whiskey sevens, gin and tonics, these are all highball drinks. In this video, we'll also include drinks that combine one liquor and fruit juice. We'll include these in our highball section. Vodka crayons, screwdrivers, for example. We'll keep it simple. We'll put all these drinks together because they're all made essentially the same way. We start with a highball glass or any 8-ounce glass. We'll fill that with ice. Then we add our standard shot and fill with mixer. Now the nice thing about using the correct glass is we know that if we add a shot of alcohol, fill with ice, and add our mixer, leaving just a 1-finger window here at the top, we'll have a perfect 2-to-1 mix, 2 parts mixer, 1 part liquor. Now if I was serving a carbonated beverage, I'd be done. The carbonation will mix the drink up. But because this is a juice, I'm just going to give it a quick stir. Make sure those ingredients are mixed together. These drinks have been around long enough to acquire some fancy names. Screwdrivers, sea breezes, Cuba Libres. You may be familiar with some of them. If not, dig into a recipe book and check out our online list of the most important drinks for you to know. And start memorizing because these drinks do come up all the time. Now, the question I get asked more than any other is, how does a bartender memorize all these drinks? How do you keep so many different recipes straight in your head? Well, one trick I like is to build off of drinks that I already know. So if I'm trying to learn a new recipe, I try to connect it to a similar recipe that I already have memorized. A Cape Cod is a vodka and cranberry juice with a slice of lime. Now, if instead of pouring all cranberry juice, I pour half cranberry and half grapefruit juice, then I have a sea breeze. If I substitute pineapple juice in place of the grapefruit juice, I've poured a bay breeze. So instead of memorizing 3 separate recipes and 3 separate drinks, I think of this as modifications on one drink, the vodka cranberry juice or Cape Cod. I also remember that it's breezy on Cape Cod. It's these kind of little mnemonic tricks that will really help you out when you're memorizing new drinks. Another example is the tequila driver, tequila and orange juice. If I want to make a tequila sunrise, I'll add grenadine. To make a tequila sunset, add both grenadine and 151 rum. Again, we're finding connections. Now, most new drinks are a variation on a drink that you already know. So when you're learning new recipes, either here or behind the bar, start making these connections to a recipe that you already have memorized.
One of my favorites when I first started bartending was when somebody asked me for a cocktail, maybe even like your normal cocktails that slip your mind, and somebody will say, can I have a beautiful please? And if I didn't know how to make it and I didn't have any tools for me to discover how, I would say, sure, how do you like to take yours? That one always works really well because then they tell you the ingredients and you can't get it wrong.
The sour mix is basically a tart mixture of lemons, limes, and sugars. Now, you can purchase a ready-made sour mix from the store, but nothing beats using fresh limes in a sour. Your guests will definitely notice the difference. To find a complete recipe, you can check out our website or you can look in most bartending guides. All right, we'll pour our sour the same way we would a highball. In a glass of ice, add your standard shot of alcohol. In this case, we'll make a vodka sour. And top that with sour mix. Now, the difference is that we're going to give our sours a quick shake. The sour mix is very tart, and we don't want to start off with a nice drink and end up with a mouthful of lemon. We'll garnish that with a flag, which, as you know, is an orange and a cherry. Now a Collins is basically sour mix topped with soda water. We'll make a vodka Collins. We're going to start with a glass that's one size larger than an 8-ounce glass. Make a vodka sour in there. That'll be the base. We'll do that just the same way we did in our last glass. Only this time, because we're in a larger glass, we'll have a little room up here on top. We'll give that a shake, and we'll fill that extra space with soda water. It's very nice. The soda water cuts through the sour mix without diluting the flavor. And again, let's garnish that with our flag. Two popular Collins drinks: the John Collins, made with whiskey, and the Tom Collins, which is a gin and Collins. Now we're talking about making connections. One modification of the gin and Collins is the Singapore Sling. Instead of memorizing this drink as a brand new recipe with 4 different unrelated ingredients, think of the Singapore Sling as a gin and Collins with a float of cherry brandy. Once again, we're looking for ways to connect new drinks to drinks that we already know. Now, one thing you'll find when you're shaking these drinks is that the tin will get so cold it will contract and form a seal onto the glass. If this happens, just give that tin a slap. It'll break the seal and come right off. And you just pour that drink right out. Now, our margarita begins by salting the rim of our margarita glass. Add a little swirl of lime juice to your bar sponge, and then let that soak in. Dip the rim of your margarita glass into the lime and into the salt. Now we have a nicely salted rim. Fill that with ice. Now a second way is to run a lime around the outside edge of the glass. This is nice because it keeps the salt outside of the drink. Remember, the salt is a garnish, it's not an ingredient. We'll set that aside and we'll prepare the drink in our mixing tin. Add a scoop of ice, and then basically you're making a tequila sour. Add a shot of tequila and sour mix. Only with the margarita we have 2 extra ingredients we're going to add in there. Just a swirl of lime juice and triple sec. Now, be careful when you're serving the lime juice and the triple sec because a little bit really enhances the flavor. You add too much, you'll quickly ruin the drink. Now, you want to give that a shake. And we'll pour out over our original glass. Beautiful. Let's finish that up with a straw and a lime wheel. Now you can also make a nice flavored margarita. To do that, instead of salt, we'll add sugar to the rim, make it nice and sweet, and then we'll leave out the triple sec. Instead, we'll add one of our liqueurs. If we wanted to make a raspberry margarita, we'd add a raspberry liqueur or maybe Chambord. One of my favorites is the melon margarita. We'll add a melon liqueur or Midori. A blue margarita, we'll use the blue curacao.
One of the menu drinks that I used to make at a previous spot was a raspberry margarita. It actually used to be called the Naughty Schoolgirl because one of our waitresses, very uncharacteristically for Halloween, came in as a naughty schoolgirl. She had the whole Britney Spears gear going. It was great. Her favorite drink, and she was definitely one of the house favorite waitresses, so we figured we better give her a tribute. So what I like to do is throw some fresh organic limes in the bottom of this glass. This is called muddling. I like to throw the ice on top because it seems to help break up the limes a little better. Top it off with a little bit of ice on the top. Make sure that we got a full glass. Then grab my Salsa Hornitos Chambord Raspberry Liqueur. Pour a little salsa on there. As you can see, it's not really a little. You like to keep them tight. Put a little rimmer of triple sec just for kicks. A little bit of organic lime juice. Top that off with some orange juice because our organic lime juice is sometimes a little tart. This would get all mixed up like so. Then, before it goes out, we gotta make it raspberry, so we let it trickle down through like so. It's definitely a house favorite. Let the raspberry float down through it as it's going out to the person at the table. Straw it up.
Now, it's not enough just to know your drink recipes. You also have to be efficient. Let's say you have to pour a rum and coke, a vodka cran, a margarita, and a shot of tequila. You don't want to pour each drink individually. Instead, we'll pour all these drinks at the same time. So we'll start by prepping our glassware. And then we'll add salt to our margarita and to our tequila shot. Now, I like to add salt just to one edge of the tequila shot. That way, if someone doesn't want the salt, they can just drink out of the other side of the glass. Now, as you know, we'll actually make our margarita in a tin, so we'll set that glass aside and we'll find our mixing tin. Give that a scoop of ice. There's our rum and coke. There's our vodka cran. There's tequila and sour, the base of our margarita. And there's a shot of tequila. And you notice we didn't set the tequila bottle down. We're going to pour both of our tequila drinks together. Now, finish off the margarita with a little lime juice and triple sec, 1/4 ounce of each. And we'll give that a shake. Strain that off into your original glass. Straw them up, and you're ready to go. A little lime on that tequila. There we are. We have 4 drinks for the table and back, and they're all ready at the same time. Really a catch-all category for hundreds of drinks that combine liquors, liqueurs, fruit juices, and sweeteners. Now, I like to think of these drinks in 2 broad categories. The first category will combine 1 liquor, 1 liqueur, and fruit juices. Now, I'm going to show you 2 different drinks, and I'm also going to show you 2 different ways to make them. The first way, I'm going to call this the correct way. This is how you want to approach any tropical drink if you have the time. I'm going to make a blue Hawaiian. The first thing I want to do is find a nice glass, and we'll fill that with ice. Now we'll set that glass aside, and we'll make our blue Hawaiian here in our mixing tin. Now add ice, a shot of rum, and equal parts orange juice and pineapple juice. And we'll give that a shake. And we'll pour it off into our original glass. Now this is great because we're pouring a chilled drink over fresh cold ice in a cold glass, so it won't melt much of the ice. We're going to retain the full flavors of the fruit juices and the liqueurs we use in the drink. Also, customers can sip this drink without it getting watered down, so it'll keep longer at the table. All right, we have a blue Hawaiian that's not blue yet, so let's go ahead and give it a float of blue curacao right on top of that. Now, in our tropical drinks, garnishes are for show, right? They're not for flavor. So feel free to add pineapple slices, little umbrellas, mangoes. You can even just start playing with what you have available in your standard fruit tray. There we are. Looks beautiful. All right. Now this is great if you're working in a restaurant or a lounge or somewhere where people have time to sit and sip their drinks and really enjoy them. But if you're working in a nightclub or anywhere where your line is going to back up, you're going to have a group in the back and they don't want to sit and watch while you make the perfect blue Hawaiian every time. So I'm going to show you a second way of making tropical drinks. Essentially, You're making the same drink, you're just going to skip a couple of steps. Now, I'm going to make a Sex on the Beach, and this is going to be a faster way of making the drink. We're going to start with a simple glass, fill that with ice, and then a half shot each, vodka and peach schnapps, and equal parts orange juice and cranberry juice. Now we'll just give that a shake, real quick, boom, boom. Gets a orange, gets a cherry, gets a stir straw, serve it up. Now, which of these methods will you use? Well, that depends where you work. Practice both, get a job at a bar, and then just adapt to your environment.
So the next drink we'll make is really popular all over the Seattle area. It's called a Washington Red Apple. It can be served as a martini, as a shot, or as a drink over ice, so today we'll make it over ice. This drink is pretty simple. It's equal parts any kind of bourbon that you choose and apple schnapps. And the last ingredient is cranberry juice. And that's it. And if you were going to serve this drink as a shot or as a martini, you would shake what's here in a cocktail shaker and then strain it into a shot glass or a martini glass.
Today we're going to make a Lynchburg lemonade, classic Tennessee cocktail. First thing you start off with a shaker and put some ice in it. Then you put in 1 shot of Jack Daniels, half a shot of amaretto, add some sour, 7, 3 or 4 slices of lemon, muddle it, pour it into a pint glass, garnish it with a lemon, and give it a straw.
Now, our second category combines multiple ingredients. Now, this not only makes the recipe more difficult, but by the time you've added a number of sweeteners and liqueurs, well, really, no one can taste the subtle differences between one recipe and another. They really want a fun party drink that masks the taste of the alcohol. So there's a lot of variety in these recipes.
Other cities, you know, from the Midwest to the East Coast, they have a lot of different drinks which are basically the same, but they have different names. And so there's a couple of drinks we have which have 4 different names for them. And that took the longest, was to be able to realize you have 3 seconds of interaction with your customer to know what he wants. And if you don't know what's in it, it's just going to slow down your line. It's going to make you look incompetent. So that was the hardest part, was just getting the drink knowledge, the base down, and being able to feel comfortable with a bottle in your hand and having 50 people in front of you screaming and hollering.
So no matter what, don't get embarrassed and don't feel bad to say, I don't know what's in that. If you don't know what's in that and you try to come across like you do know what's in that and you make something that tastes like ass or that looks bad, or it's going to come across to your customer like you're trying to shoot from the hip, you're not doing a very good job, they're going to be not very pleased with their drink, and you're not going to get repeat service. Whereas leaning across the rail and saying, you know what, somebody else in town made that up, I have no idea what it is, I'm really sorry. If you know what's in it, I would love to try to make it and recreate that for you. But if I can't, I can't. How about, and then throw in something that you know how to make. Throw in something that you've been working on or that you think you're making better than anybody else in town. Have the confidence to say, this is the drink that I think you should have from me because this is my best drink. This is what I drink when I go out. You're going to love it. Check it out.
And if worse comes to worse, I'll make you a drink that you're going to like either way. So you're always going to like my drinks. That's the way it goes. If not, drink it fast and come back to the bar and make something else.
For example, I'm going to make Mai Tai. Now, if you look at 5 different recipe books, you might find 5 different recipes for the Mai Tai. The one I'm going to make now reflects the original, but it only uses common bar ingredients. Also, in my opinion, it's the best tasting. We add dark rum, light rum, equal amounts. Orange juice and pineapple juice, once again, equal amounts. And 1/4 ounce each triple sec, and lime juice. And we'll give that a shake. And don't forget to have fun with your garnish on these drinks.
This is a zombie right here, another crowd favorite. Take a little grenadine. My favorite thing with this though is all the different alcohols in it. Sweet and sour, orange juice, pineapple. Give it a good float. Best part, give it a nice topper. Crowd loves a little fire, so volunteer my services and light the finger on fire, show them we're not skimming. Last part of the garnish, take an orange. Right there.
All right, if that zombie recipe confused you, think of it this way. Once you know the Mai Tai, you already know the hurricane and the zombie. The hurricane, you simply add grenadine syrup. For the zombie, add grenadine and float with 151 rum.
I'm about to make a rum punch. It's a signature drink. It's not something you could order anywhere. This is for all the rum drinkers out there. I always pack down my ice to make sure that I get as much ice in the glass as possible. I've got Bacardi rum here and a little bit of triple sec. I'm going to do about 1.5 ounces of the Bacardi and about half an ounce of the triple sec. I'm going to follow that with some organic pineapple juice and some organic orange juice. Top it with a little bit of cranberry. And then just for a little added kick, we put some Myers rum right on top, just a little float. And there you have it.
Our next drink is a classic. This is the Long Island Tea. Equal parts rum, vodka, gin, and tequila. Now the nice thing is, if your well is set up in order, these bottles are right next to each other. You can reach down, find the bottles, pour the drink. Now I don't recommend this for beginners. Start by free pouring 1 bottle, move to 2, eventually you'll be pouring 4. You add sour mix to that and give it a shake. Now, see, it's not a tea yet, so let's add cola, straw it up, and give it a lemon. One of the most popular drinks you'll serve. This is a muddler. This is a simple tool that's used to release the flavors of the herbs, fruits, other ingredients that you use in your drink. Now, the proper method is to mash and to twist. This goes way beyond just squeezing a lemon, throwing it into the drink. With muddling, you're releasing those essential oils, and it's really the only way to enjoy a drink that's made with herbs, such as mint. You can't just hope to squeeze a mint, throw it into a glass, and get the full effect. That drink has to be muddled. I'll demonstrate by making a mojito. We're going to start by filling the glass half full with ice. Now, add 4 or 5 fresh mint leaves. And 3 or 4 limes. And just a touch of sugar. Now, I like my mojitos light, so I just use a bit of sugar, but you can sweeten yours to taste. And 1 shot of a nice rum. There we are. Now you want to muddle that up. And again, the proper method is to mash and give it a twist. And there we are. Now there's no specific time, just until you feel the ingredients are well combined. Top that with ice and soda water. Let's garnish with a lime and how about a mint?
An old-fashioned is a muddled drink, and right now muddled drinks are very popular, coming in from martinis or muddled fruit tasting better than most mixers. I start with a scoop of ice. Usually a scoop is about a cup of ice. With the old-fashioned you need a couple oranges. I usually take 2 or 3 oranges. Today I'm going to be taking 3. 2 cherries. You're going to want to take a dash of bitters, 1 or 2 drops, some sugar, and your choice of whiskey. After you add your alcohol, you want to muddle everything so everything's mixed together. After you're done muddling, you can take a strainer, making sure the strainer's snug on the edge, and strain out your drink. And then you can fill it with soda water. And a little splash of sour. And after you finish your drink, you want to garnish your drink. I like to do a straw with 2 orange slices and a cherry on top. Nothing terribly fancy, but it looks nice.
Now in the past, if you ordered a martini, you'd be served a shot of gin with just a little hint of vermouth. Well, anyone who's walked into a martini bar lately knows that times have changed and we have a whole new generation of martinis out there. You have cran-tinis, apple-tinis, chocolate-tinis, the list goes on. And really, any drink can be served martini style. You simply chill it in your mixing tin and then pour it into your cocktail glass. We could have made a blue Hawaiian martini, a Mai Tai martini. But the reality is that none of these drinks are truly martinis. I want to start by making a real martini. This is a favorite drink of mine. This is the classic vodka martini. Now, a perfect martini begins with a chilled cocktail glass. Add ice and soda water. Now set this glass aside to chill, and we'll find our mixing tin. Add just a bit of vermouth. It's a 1/4 ounce or less. Now, if you wanted to make a dry martini, we'd add half this amount of vermouth. We'll make an extra dry martini. We'll swirl that vermouth around, and we'll dump it out. We'll just leave the residue, just a wash of vermouth in the tin to flavor the vodka. If we would have been making our martini extra, extra dry, we would have skipped the vermouth entirely. Now, this is the one time you'll see me add ingredients to a glass or a tin before I add the ice. The reason for this is because a lot of your martini drinkers are very particular. They'll ask you to make changes in the amount of vermouth after you've already started making the drink. They'll be watching you and they'll say, oh wait, I like less vermouth than that. So we'll want to make these adjustments before we add the vodka. Now we're going to fill that with ice. So now we have our iced mixing tin. We have a little wash of vermouth in it. We're going to add our standard 2 ounces of vodka. And we'll give that a shake. Now there's a long-standing argument about shaking versus stirring. Now some people think shaking bruises the alcohol, it adds little water crystals that make it undesirable. But this is where personal preference comes in because I like my martinis shaken. In fact, I like them shaken to the point where, if you'll notice the tin here, water begins to condense, form little ice crystals here on the side of the tin.
And shake it up about 13 times. I figure 13 is pretty good because it gets it nice and cold, but it's not too watered down by the ice breaking up. What you want on your martini is kind of like the little slivers of ice just kind of floating on there. But not too much. Like I say, if you don't shake it long enough, it's not going to be cold enough. If you shake it too long, it's going to be ice. The ice will break up too much and it'll water it down. It's called bruised.
Give that a shake. And we'll find our original glass, which is now nicely chilled and cold. Pour that martini. We'll finish that off with an olive.
I'm going to show you how to make a drink, but I'm not going to tell you the name of it. So, it's a martini. The first thing that you should do is put ice in the martini glass and fill it with soda water. This helps keep your martini glass cold and the martini stays cold longer. Next, in a cocktail shaker with ice, we put in 3 lemons and 1.5 ounces of raspberry vodka and a little splash of liqueur. And then I usually add a little more ice on top. It just helps ensure the lemons are smashed up, and then you muddle until you feel like everything is well combined. After that, add a little splash of sweet and sour and give it a little shake. Now, dump the water out of your martini glass. And strain the drink. And the way we finish this is by sinking a few drops of raspberry liqueur in the bottom of the glass. And then it gets a lemon twist.
My martini glass, fill it up with ice and some soda in there. Chill the glass, grab the shaker, like the shaker up with ice, and here we go. Should be enough vodka. I really like apple packer. Apple packer does add taste to the drink and color. And the way I make them, I add some sour and some Sprite. It's green, I like that. And what I do with my apple tennis, I always finish them with some sabor. It really makes them look nice. What do you think? Less than a half of a shot of Chambord, which, because of its weight, sinks directly bottom and sorts of layer the drink, and it really looks good. And I garnish it with cherry.
We're going to make Sex with an Alligator, your basic drink from the East Coast. Really good selection here, colorful, fun, gives the crowd all, they like to see it, it's good colors. What I've got here is Malibu Midori, which is your base liquors here. Then we add a little bit of sweet and sour, and then pineapple juice. Give it a good shake. All right. That's your good base, good color. Now we have to find the blue curacao bottle, and we have to drip it to the bottom. This is a sex part right here. Good drips. Okay. My favorite part right here is the Jaeger. Float it with Jaeger. Best part right here, take it, garnish it with a cherry. That's sex with an alligator right there.
The whiskey version of the vodka or gin martini is called a Manhattan. Although these drinks are prepared similar, the Manhattan is its own unique experience.
Today I'll be making a Maker's Manhattan, and when I worked in Manhattan, I made hundreds of these a night. They're pretty popular. We're going to chill the glass. So we're going to put a little ice in it and then just a little water. Keep the glass nice and cold while we prepare our Manhattan. Next, we're going to go to the martini shaker, fill with ice. I'll be making a Maker's Manhattan today. So about a shot and a half. Next, I'm going to put a little sweet vermouth in there, just a tad. And at our bar, we like to use a dash of cherry juice, 2 dashes of bitters, and then we're going to get it really nice and cold, so we're going to shake it. Should be good. Garnish with a cherry. And then we're going to strain it. One Maker's Manhattan. Cheers. Tonight we made a traditional Maker's Manhattan. There are a few variations on a Manhattan. The dry Manhattan is served with dry vermouth instead of sweet vermouth and is garnished with a lemon twist instead of the cherry. And then a perfect Manhattan is with both dry and sweet vermouth and garnished with a cherry.
If you get a job in a college bar or anywhere that young people frequent, you're going to be learning new shots all the time. Now what I like to do is I like to keep a pen and paper handy and write down my favorites. All of your shots are going to come in one of 3 categories. They'll either be layered, chilled, or just poured into a shot glass. We're going to start by just pouring a shot. This one's called a chocolate cake. We're going to add sugar to the rim of our shot glass. 1 part each, vodka and frangelico. And it's amazing, somehow this actually does taste like a chocolate cake. Garnish that with a lemon. You want to drink this the same way you would a tequila shot. You lick the sugar, shoot the shot, bite into the lemon. All right, we're going to chill our kamikaze shot. Add a scoop of ice to a mixing tin. Half a shot vodka, and then 1/4 shot each, triple sec, Rose's lime juice. Give that a shake. Pour it in the shot glass. Now you're going to be making a lot of chilled drinks, so practice because you're going to want to be able to burn through these very quickly. All right, I have a table of 3. They want a round of lemon drops. Obviously, I'm not going to make each lemon drop individually. I'm going to make them all at the same time. So, let's start. We'll sugar the rims of those glasses. There we are. Now we're going to chill our lemon drops. Add 3 shots of a citrus vodka. And give that a shake. Chill that up nicely, and boom, pour it off. And we'll add a lemon slice to each. Now a nice touch on a lemon drop is to caramelize sugar onto that lemon. This takes a little extra time, but it's really nice. Let's pour a little sugar over that lemon, and then a shot of 151. Light that on fire. Beautiful. This will be the sweetest lemon you ever had. Now, the alcohol burns at a low temperature, but it'll still be hot, so be careful when you serve these. The principle behind layered shots is that the heaviest liquor will sink to the bottom while the lighter liquor floats on top of it. Now, you've got to be careful when you're pouring these, or all the ingredients just mix together. The best way is to pour slowly over a cherry or over a bar spoon. Now, many of our shots will also work if you just pour really carefully right there over the side of the glass. A list of alcohols by weight can be found on our website. Also, you can find it in most bartending guides.
The shot I'm going to make today is called the Daylight Basement. It is 1 part Kahlua, 1 part Sambuca, and 1 part Jägermeister, and they're all floated on top of each other. The first ingredient is Kahlua. The second ingredient is Sambuca, floated on top of the Kahlua. If you tip the shot glass a little bit, it'll help you float. And the third ingredient is Jägermeister, which floats conveniently on top of the Sambuca, which creates the nifty effect of dark on the bottom, clear in the middle, and then dark on top. Hence the Daylight Basement.
It's kind of, it's a funny shot. I don't drink it. Some people do. We use peach schnapps and sort of try to layer Baileys or Carolines on top. See? So get that. Okay. And then grab some grenadine. Disgusting. It looks bad, and that's the case. There you go. It's a brain hemorrhage. Yeah? Nice. That was my Halloween set. I think it's a great Halloween set.
I'm gonna make a B52. I'm gonna layer that B52, as you always should layer your B52s. And as a little quirk, I'm gonna layer that B52 on my forehead.
Now, a popular drink among the college crowd today is to bomb a shot of liquor into an energy drink or into a beer. We're going to make a classic bomb. This one is the Flaming Dr. Pepper. Start off with a half glass of beer. Then in our shot glass, we'll add 2/3 amaretto, and we'll just float 151 on top. Now, you have to make sure the 151 floats on top. You can't have the two liquors mix. Usually, it's good enough just to pour on the side of the glass, and the liquors will separate. We'll light that on fire. Now, had we just shot the drink like this, we'd have a Dr. Pepper. We're going to light it on fire. Let's make us a Flaming Dr. Pepper. There we go. And into the drink. Now, it's my policy to always serve these at my bar. This contains the mess to my area, and the last thing any bar needs are drunk people playing with fire. Cream drinks are made using a half and half, which is a half milk, half cream combination. Now, the half and half has an amazing way of cutting through the sharpness of the alcohol, and the drink doesn't lose any of its flavor. Now, we're going to make a White Russian and a Colorado Bulldog. Both of these drinks begin with the same base as a Black Russian. We'll pour equal amounts vodka and coffee liqueur. Now, the White Russian we'll top with cream, and that will finish off the White Russian. And for the Colorado Bulldog, we'll top with cream and a shot of cola. There we go. Straw those up. We'll throw a cherry here on the Bulldog, and we're good to go. The Colorado Bulldog is also called a Smith & Wesson. To make a coffee drink, we'll simply pour ingredients into a glass and we'll top with coffee. We're going to make an Irish coffee. Now, a traditional Irish coffee is just Irish whiskey and coffee. I like to spice mine up a little bit. We're going to add some Bailey's Irish cream. And we'll garnish with whipped cream, and I always like to put just a little sprinkle of creme de menthe on the top. Gives it a nice Irish feel.
So I'm going to make you a Spanish coffee today. You take a wine glass and you dip it into a sugar bath. Give it a little shake to take all the extra off. And then you drop 151. Light it on fire. An easy way to light it on fire is to run the 151 all over the glass so that there's alcohol dripping off the glass. And it should catch on fire. Here now, for the show of it all, is to take some cinnamon or nutmeg and sprinkle on top. You'll set some sparks. While your flame's rolling, try to roll it through your hand to caramelize the entire rim of the glass. This should be kind of a fast drink so the caramelized sugar doesn't get too hot. And then pour the rest of your alcohol. You have some Kahlua. Try to keep the flame going the entire time. Triple sec. Top it with your coffee. Try to keep the flame going the entire time. And then top it with a spoon.
I think one thing that's important is to serve responsibly, because in the long run that's going to be to the benefit of the establishment that you work for and also for your money, for your tips. Because you want people to have a good time, but you want them to be safe. And if people feel comfortable and if they feel safe, then they're more apt to come back. They're also more apt to bring their friends and to recommend you as a bartender to other people they know.
There are two fundamental, unbreakable laws to bartending. First, you never serve someone who's underage. Always check ID. If you screw up a drink, you may lose a customer. You serve someone who's underage. As a bartender, it's a criminal offense, and you stand the chance of getting a ticket and a healthy fine, and your establishment could eventually be shut down. Not if it's your girlfriend, your brother, or 10 of your closest friends swear that person is 21. The answer is no.
You know, serving in minors is a serious offense, and that's not something we want to be a part of, so we'll check IDs. And sometimes it's, you know, you have to check it very closely, because kids will try anything to get, you know, false, fake IDs.
One of those resources that will help you to determine whether somebody's a minor or not is a recent ID book. A recent ID book will show you different state IDs, show you what to look for when it comes to a real ID versus a fake ID, and it'll also tell you what's a legal ID to be into a bar and what is not.
And number 2, don't serve someone who's intoxicated. If someone comes to your bar who looks like they may have had too many drinks at another bar, or maybe they've had too many at your bar, either way, it's time to cut them off. And once you've made your decision, they'll do everything they can to talk you out of it. Again, the answer's no. You'll get pressure from guests, from friends, even family members to break these rules. Simply remind yourself of all the friends who you work with who lose their jobs if your bar gets shut down. Just don't do it, not even once. Now, there'll come a time at your bar when you need to cut someone off. When this happens, it's best to be simple and direct. Just tell them you can't serve them any more alcohol. If they continue to ask questions, explain that it's because they've had too much to drink. You offer them food, offer them coffee, offer them sodas, but whatever you do, don't back down and do not serve them any more alcohol.
When it comes time to cut somebody off, it's never easy because nobody will, accept the fact that they're too drunk.
The best way to do it is to address it as politely as possible the first time. Everybody gets there, everybody's been there.
I cut them off as soon as I can, as soon as I observe the intoxicated behavior, and then offer to continue serving them like non-alcoholic beverages until they sober up. If they're being an issue for the establishment, they're being removed.
The first time that you're ruining somebody else's $40 filet that they're in the corner enjoying their meal with their wife or their mom or whoever it is that they're here with, and you're ruining the time that they're enjoying at my bar, you're not going to be here for very much longer. Be it that I have to kill you with kindness, or I have to be a mental giant, or I have to just physically grab you and try to get you the heck out of here.
Dealing with a drunk person should be swift. Try to be as courteous as you can. Of course, there's a time when courteous ends and it just turns into an issue where you no longer are, it's not your situation to contend with. A lot of the establishments I work in, they have security staff, and it's now their turn to deal with it.
If they get aggressive, I just say, you know what, I think I've spoken my piece with you. If you have any issues with this, we can take it to somebody who matters. We can talk to the authorities. It comes down to the authorities, and nobody wants to be presented to the authorities. So, I don't know. I try to say thank you for being here, but it's time to go.
You never let it get the best of you. If somebody starts swearing at you because you cut them off or something, it's like, you know what, darling? I'm really sorry you feel that way. What exactly can I do to help you out? And they usually respond with, screw you. In which case you call a bouncer, ask nicely to leave.
You've done what you can do. Drunk people are drunk people. They'll do things they'll do things that when they're drunk that you would never expect them to do sober. I've had friends that have, gone off the deep end. It just happens. I think I've gone off the deep end.
Even if you get stiffed, say thank you. But, people are, these days it's kind of tough to part with their money, especially when they're if they don't know you, or, if they, you don't expect a tip every time. It's nice to have every time, but if you don't get it, you always say thank you anyways. That's their service or their business to your restaurant is very important.
I might be at work, but everybody else is out here drinking and having a good time, so I need to make sure that I've got a smile on my face and that I'm encouraging their good time.
As a bartender, your job is to make everybody feel welcome.
I guess number one is smiling.
They want to be thought of as one. They don't want to think that there are other people sitting down at the bar. They're the only ones sitting at the bar.
It's really important to get to know your customers. Get to know their names, what they like to drink, how they like their drinks made.
When in doubt, just be nice. If you have a problem with a customer or with a coworker or a manager, just remember it's not really a big deal in the long run, and keep your cool and keep a smile on your face, and chances are everything will work out.
Well, I've learned in this line of work you don't judge everybody. I used to judge a lot of people, but you'll be amazed at some of the people you think are just not even worth your time. They happen to be some of the best people out there.
Every little bit counts. If you make somebody feel loved or liked, they'll come back. And repeat business is really important. And when the bar makes money, you'll make money. You make them happy, they'll take care of you.
All right, thank you very much for joining me. I've had a great time. And remember, anyone can pour a drink. It's your personality that's going to get you your crowd. All right, keep practicing, and I'll see you behind the bar.